Okay, this is going to be a review of the Graco XR9 Magnum. It's an airless paint sprayer. I'll show you in a minute how quickly it applies paint. It's just amazing the amount of coverage you can get and how quickly you can paint something. First of all, this one, the XR9, I believe it has 3,800 or maybe it's 3,000 PSI. It's got a filter on the bottom. You can suck directly out of a 5-gallon bucket. This one's got a few years on it. They're a little bit prettier than this when they're brand new. I have stained my own house twice. I have painted 3 or 4 other houses with it. And if you paint one house with it, you're going to pay for it. If you can find a job to paint a house, or if you paint your own house and don't pay somebody else to do it, you'll pay for it the first time. Absolutely, first time you use it. But anyway, some of the features, it's pretty easy to use. It's self-priming in that when you're fixing to, when you put it down in the paint, you turn this lever down, and as it begins to prime, and then you can hear it at some point kind of slowing down a little bit. You click it up, and then it'll stop pumping, and you're ready to spray then. It comes with a 50-foot hose. It comes with a latex tip. This by that I mean the spraying tip, and you can also buy one for oil, for an oil-based paint, or stain, which I did when I sprayed my house. My house is stained wood, and I bought an oil tip for that. But anyway, if you have anything that you have to paint, and that includes house, barn, I'll going to show you in just a second what another little project I'm doing that I'm painting. But just for a reference, I painted a 1,350 square foot house in about 3.5 hours by myself. That's me moving this around. Again, with a 50-foot hose, you don't have to move it a whole lot. But that's me moving it around, me moving ladders, going up and down ladders, whatever. And I already had the windows masked off and stuff. All I had to do was spray. But about 3.5 hours to spray a 1,350, 1,400 square foot house. I stained my own house with it just recently in the last month or so. And I didn't have to mask off any windows. We were getting new windows, and the old windows were coming out, so I didn't worry about it. I just sprayed and got some on the windows because they were old and fixing to come out. But I sprayed it in about 3 hours probably, and that's about 1,800 square feet under roof. I used 15 gallons of spray and did it in about 3 hours. Another couple of houses I did were smaller houses, about 1,000 square foot houses, and again, 2.5, 3 hours. So if you've got a barn that needs painting, don't go out there with a roller or paintbrush when you can buy this. And then once you buy it, consider painting somebody else's house just on the side. I don't have any desire to be a painter, but I have painted some stuff on the side. Once I got this, I said, shoot, I've got it, let's use it. I don't advertise, I don't anything like that. I don't want to be a painter, don't want to do this. But if something comes along, that's how I paid for it. So it's basically free to me. So anyway, Magnum XR9, Graco also has a Magnum XR7, which I think the only difference that I could see, well, I just don't, when I bought this, the difference was the XR7 would not suck directly out of a 5-gallon bucket, I think. They've got them designed now that they will. They got an XR9, and anyway, Graco. And the reason I bought Graco, there's a guy down from me, down the road from me, that's a painter, paints for a living. I drove in there and said, I'm thinking about buying a paint sprayer. What do you recommend? He said Graco, hands down. This is a guy that makes his living doing it, so I bought a Graco. I don't make my living doing it. I'm just doing a review of what I have found to be true about this, and it's an excellent, excellent painter. So, and as far as spraying paint, you're going to see in a minute how quickly it'll spray. I've been asked several times if you have to thin the paint down or whatever, and my standard response is I believe it'll spray molasses. You don't have to thin anything down. So that's I haven't sprayed molasses. Don't try it and say it didn't work. You owe me money. So I'm just saying it'll spray. Magnum XR9, I highly recommend. There'll be a link below where you can go look at the XR9, XR7, XR5, but I highly recommend those. Excellent paint sprayers. Okay, here we are outside. As you can see, it's pulling paint from a 5-gallon bucket. We'll also pull paint from a 1-gallon bucket. But this will, I'm just going to show you how quickly you can apply paint. How quickly you can apply paint. A little windy, may not be able to hear real well, but let me get the camera set up. And I'm going to spray this sheet metal on this chicken pen that I am refurbishing here. Okay? Hang on. One of the problems some of the earliest paint sprayers were that the tip would stop up. On the Graco, maybe I can turn around where you can see it. This has a reversible tip. So if you're spraying and it starts to clog up, just reverse it, hit it once, it'll squirt out the obstruction. You're ready to go again. Okay, now that you've seen it in action, I've cleaned it up. Now obviously I don't clean the outside like I should probably. This one's about 6, 7, maybe 8 years old and has painted several things. You can look on here to the different colors. But the main thing you clean out is you want to make sure your hose does not have any paint in it. And you clean out your spraying tip. This all breaks down. There's a filter in here. Everything else breaks down. All this comes apart, and you clean those with a toothbrush, and just get in here and just clean your gun out real well. And you also, it comes with a power, kind of a power prime or power thing. Is you hook that onto your water hose. It goes in place of the filter there. And it self-primes it. You just run water through it till it's just absolutely clear. You don't want to leave any paint in it, any paint residue in it. And then when you're through with it, something I just did, you probably see a little bit on the ground there, is I prime it with antifreeze. They recommend their own little Graco, and they I think some come a little pint of it, something like that, comes with the machine. But they recommend their product to put in it for storage. And I have found, I smelled of it, and it's basically antifreeze. So I prime it with antifreeze. So antifreeze is all up in here. You got a little bit in the hose probably, but all up in your mechanisms and everything that could get cold and freeze and bust, because the hose does have water in it. You know, when I sprayed water through it, I got to clean it out. The hose is still full of water. So this would be full of water too, and you don't want that, especially if you live in a cold climate. So I charge it with antifreeze. Antifreeze has a lubricating property to it. Like I say, I just got some off the floor there, and it's kind of gooey, or not gooey, but it's kind of slick, and it lubricates all your internal your pistons and stuff like that. So anyway, that's what they recommend. They recommend their own brand, of course, but I'm just saying for cost saving, antifreeze is just as well. I've had this for a number of years, and I hadn't had any problem with it. And I keep it out in the barn in the winter, and it doesn't get terribly cold around here, but it has on occasion gotten pretty dadgum cold. Anyway, Graco Magnum XR9 Magnum, highly recommend. I'll put a link below to the Magnum XR9, the XR7, the XR5, and you can compare them.